All right, and welcome back to another episode of the State of Sports podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Leong.
I'm Nick Ricario.
I'm Mac Dolphy.
And I'm Peyton Smith.
And today we are breaking down where we are in the MLB Playoffs. The wild card series have officially finished up, and we are going to talk about the National League Division Series that is imminent. It's coming up, so let's get started. All right, boys. So, really interesting wild card series. I know if any of you listening now were listening to our preview of the playoffs, you saw and heard all of our predictions. Some of us got some right on the head, or hit the nail right on the head. Some of us failed miserably, and I'm talking to myself specifically. But let's break it down. So the first we'll start in the American League, and we'll move to the National League. So the first series we're going to discuss is the Tampa Bay Rays and the New York Yankees. Boys, are we surprised?
Honestly, no. I think we all pretty much got these ones straight on. I mean, I think other than the series ending scores, I think we were all dead on. I really expected Cleveland to be able to take at least a game off the Yankees, but it's kind of upsetting that didn't happen. But, I mean, we all expected this, and it's another great battle of pitchers versus hitters once again. I seriously can't wait for this one. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I gotta agree. In terms of predictions, I think we were on, but in just terms of scores, I considered Cleveland probably I think Cleveland, New York was a coin toss for me. I thought New York, just because I thought Garrett Cole would get the job done compared to Shane Bieber. But yeah, Tampa Bay easy 2-0.
Peyton,
against
against the Blue Jays. That was.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was about to say. No, not really. This kind of went exactly how I thought it would. Yeah, not much. I mean, I couldn't really predict much of the scores at least, but it was kind of easy to see both the series going that way at least. So I really have nothing more to say on it than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what was crazy is I think it was on day one, the first day of the postseason, the most runs scored in the early innings were by this first game, which was hilarious because this was the marquee matchup of virtually the entire playoffs in terms of pitching. You know, Shane Bieber, Garrett Cole, and there were so many runs scored in this game early on in the freaking game one, and yeah, the Yankees took it handedly. Real quick predictions on this impending series coming up with the Rays and Yankees. Does anyone have any quick hot takes? Anyone really strongly leaning towards a certain team?
Strongly leaning? No, not really. 3-2 Rays. Padres bias is there for sure because I don't like the Yankees. But you also have to think that. Yeah, you have to think. Okay, sure, the Yankees prove that they can hit homers outside of Yankee Stadium and the short porch. But I like Tampa Bay's pitching. They're in Petco Park, so pretty much everywhere, even though it is not super deep in any particular direction. It also means that there's no shortcuts on anywhere of the field, so they really got to get some good contact to get it out of there. But I like Tampa Bay 3-2.
Like I said in the other one, it's hard going up against the Yankees in the playoffs, man. It's as much as you'd love to see the Yankees get taken out, Tampa Bay may be that team. They may have the pitching talent to do it. And that's what it's going to take to beat the Yankees. I mean, throughout their lineup, throughout their postseason history, that's what they've been known for, is just, run support their way through every series. But if they can find a way to, if Tampa Bay, that is, can find a way to keep the runs low, then maybe they have a chance. But right now I'm still leaning towards the Yankees. So I'll go in the opposite direction. I'll say 3-2 Yankees.
I'm going to piggyback off of Peyton's take on this one. I'm also going 3-2 Yankees, and just for the sole reason that while I definitely believe Tampa Bay's pitching core is overall better, I don't think it's as much better as we're making it out to be. They're obviously, in my opinion, Tampa Bay has the best pitching core in the league, but again, the run support concerns me. It's tough to gauge how well they're doing in these playoffs based off of their previous opponent in the Blue Jays. it's kind of an inexperienced team, so it was a good warm up for them, but it's definitely not tough competition, and in my opinion, definitely nowhere near as tough a competition as the Indians were for the Yankees. And although they also beat them 2-0, I think it's kind of gotten them geared up a little better, and that's why personally I think the Yankees are going to have the edge in this one. I think the bats are going to continue to carry them through, and like Peyton said, they know how to run support their way through these games, and it's the playoffs, and the Yankees know what they're here to do. It's going to be a close one, but I'll give it to the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, I love riding high on Tampa Bay Ray teams just because like I've been riding high on them for a while since like the early David Price days. But I think one thing that they have to keep in mind, the Rays going into this series, aside from really having their starting pitchers go deep into ball games, is the fact that they have to flush out of their head the fact that they went 8-2 against the Yankees in the regular season. They have to completely flush that out. This is just like how other teams that played each other, other teams in this postseason, they have to completely flush out the regular season. And I think a lot of teams get caught up in thinking, oh, we're the regular season, like that we played so well against this team, we should just steamroll them, when you have to flush that completely moving into the postseason. So my prediction is hopeful Rays in, I want to get ambitious and say Rays in 4, but I've been known to make some really hot takes and have not pan out. So I will do my safety pick, which is Yankees in 5. Anyway, the next series in the American League, which I think is equally as hot, if not hotter, than the other series, the series we just talked about, is the Oakland Athletics against the Houston Astros. A series for the ages, given the history between these teams and the more recent history of the Houston Cheaters. So, any hot takes on, or any takes, just here, what are your takes in general on this series?
Hey, I mean, I'm happy for the A's. Got past the first round. It was great. I mean, this matchup within the division itself is crazy. Like, you can tell these two teams just don't like each other at all. And so that's what makes it even more elevated after all these, cheater talks and whatnot. But like I said in the other episode too, it's like, I really feel like the Astros are carrying that, that ship. Like, we are hated, so it's us against the world once again. And so that's what I think is fueling them throughout this playoff series. And I can still see that carrying on into this series against the A's, who historically have not been great against them in the playoffs. So I want to say it's different this year, but I can't. It's right now I'm still leaning towards the Astros winning the series. So I don't want to say the amount of games. I want to say like maybe 4. Maybe 4.
4 games. So 4 games, but it could be either way.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
I seriously hate to do this because everyone knows the history I have with the Astros, but I gotta say, like, I was dead wrong about them, especially coming up against the Twins. It didn't look like they were pretty much in any way challenged in that series, and the Athletics kind of, like, I mean, challenged is the wrong word to use here, but they did drop a game to the White Sox. As cool as the White Sox were to watch, and as much as I know a lot of us here rooted for them, I don't think they're really top tier competition, and I don't think the A's should have had that much trouble with them. So this is probably going to be my hottest take of the whole night, but I'm taking the Astros to sweep this one. I think Peyton's totally right about the chip on their shoulder thing, and I think the massive confidence boost that they just got from basically pantsing the Twins is it's hard to overstate, honestly. And I think they're rolling into this one feeling super, super confident. So that's my hot take.
There's very high plausibility with that Houston sweep. I think if it's 2-0 quick, or if it gets 2-0, it's going to be a sweep. I think A's in 5 is a safe pick for me. You have to look at Houston. Sure, they have good starting pitching. Good 3-man rotation in terms of Greinke, McCullers, who's now healthy, Urquidy, who pitched the World Series or postseason last year for the Astros. and that's fine. They have some decent fourth and fifth guys who can play long relief if need be, but their bullpen's not the best. I'm sure they don't have those names that jump out at you that say, "Hey, I can handle the big moment." And I think the A's, with the patient approach that they have, guys like Marcus Semien, guys like Mark Canha, not who am I thinking of? Who's their first baseman?
Matt Olson.
Guys like them, even without Matt Chapman, I really think that they can put in some good at bats. I know it's going to be tough to do against Greinke because Greinke's always pretty darn good, especially in the postseason. But if you can get McCullers and maybe Urquidy, just get to the pen early, it'll make games really, really long for Dusty Baker and the Astros. So I think that I take the A's in 5 solely because their approach at the plate has been so consistent this whole season, and there should be no reason why they should deviate from that going into the series.
Whew, this is a tough one. I think I'm going to take the A's here. Yes, I'll admit it. I'm not a huge fan of the Astros, so I'll admit that as a bias. Got some ASMR going with Nick opening his can. What is it? We're not sure. But I just think that the A's, they did get punched in the mouth in Game 1. They ran into Lucas Giolito and just alive bats. I mean, freaking Adam Engel went yard to start the scoring for the White Sox. So, but I think that was kind of I would say a fluke, in my opinion, with Jesus Luzardo, with the way he pitched. I think they'll be a lot more formidable against this Houston Astros team. I think the Houston Astro pitching is going to really want to try to get as deep into the ballgame as possible, because quite frankly, I don't fully trust their bullpen, because their bullpen has been a hodgepodge of random dudes to pitch down the stretch. Even in the first game against Houston, they had to use their Game 2 starter. They used Valdez. Valdez was supposed to start Game 2 for them, but they used him out of the pen to neutralize the Minnesota bats because there are so many left-handed hitters in the Twins lineup, and Valdez is a left-handed pitcher. Whereas the A's are pretty well balanced in their lineup. A lot of righties, some lefties here and there, a couple switch hitters. So I think the A's will take this in 5. I say A's in 5, but I think it's going to be a very hard-fought series. I don't think they win Game 1, especially if it's going to be Greinke, just because he doesn't give up runs in the postseason. But I think it'll be a very hard-fought series. So that's the American League. The Rays and the Yankees and the Astros and the A's. Pretty much consensus. It's kind of split between. I mean, it's actually it's Yankees mostly and then me hoping for the Rays, and then 2 dudes Astros, 2 dudes A's for this series. Now we'll move over to the National League, and we're gonna save what I think is the marquee matchup of the postseason for the end, because 2 fan representatives of each team are here. But we'll dive into what I would consider a kind of an interesting matchup between the Miami Marlins and the Atlanta Braves. It's kind of weird for me to say that the Miami Marlins are in the National League Division Series, but here they are. So, initial reactions to how both teams got here and predictions for the series. Boys.
Wait, do you want analysis on how both teams got there?
I mean, if you want to, I mean, honestly,
sure. By all means, I'm willing to do it. So first, I'd like to apologize for a really bad hot take. Actually, it wasn't that bad of a hot take.
No, your hot take was the correct one. I'm the one who has to apologize for the hot take.
What was your hot take?
My hot take was the Reds would stomp the Braves.
Oh, mine was that too.
Didn't you?
Mine was that too.
Or did I say
we both agreed that the Reds would stomp the Braves?
No, it was opposing. It was opposing hot takes. It was opposing.
I didn't say the Braves.
Oh, did I say the Braves?
Because I was 100% on the Reds.
Braves, I know that. But
okay, well, all I gotta say is I was wrong about the Braves wrong about the Reds against the Braves. And to preface that, they probably should have won 2-0, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, Trevor Bauer not getting the run support, and then Game 3, it just got away from them late. But you can't do much about there. Offense didn't give you support, but that's all the time we have for the Reds of this podcast. They obviously didn't make it this far. As you're saying, for the Braves, I just gotta call it like it is. The Reds didn't give run support to their starting pitchers, and on the Braves side, they played 2 really good games. Pretty much pitched well. Guys out the pen were effective. Max Fried, game 1, came out dominant. Obviously, he had a bit of trouble early on in the game. Just managed it and was able to go, I think, 6-7 strong for them. Bats obviously didn't come alive in game 1. Bats did come up clutch in game 2. Ends up sweeping the Reds. And then on the Marlins side, 2 games at Wrigley. And I think, the Cubs only scored 1 run between them?
Yep, that is correct. 1 run in the first game.
I'm not sure if it's a fluke that the Cubs weren't that good. Obviously, they did win the Central, so that's something. But at the same time, you're thinking, man, the Marlins must be good because they just beat a division champion on their home field. You can chalk it up to whatever you can for the Cubs, but the Marlins just are that good. Whether you think it's superstition that, hey, they haven't lost a playoff series before, or what, but yeah, you just have to give props to where it's due. Key guys around the lineup are producing. Brian Cooper, also Brian Anderson. You also have some young guys, Jazz Chisholm. See, that's the thing. Even as a baseball fan, and we're pretty knowledgeable baseball fans, we don't even know the guys on the Marlins roster. Obviously, I can go off on the pitching, and that's going to be this is kind of the segue into my breakdown, I guess, of the series, is that I see the Marlins really contending here. It may be the safer play to go 5 for Braves because you have to think they got the vets, they have the young guys with a really, really star talent. But you can't sleep on this Marlins team. They've obviously made it this far for a reason. So you have to think, okay, what's that? Starting pitching. Sandy Alcantara has looked great. He's been able to locate his pitches, walk rates down. And then you have the rookie, the one who Pedro Martinez on MLB Network said is the younger version of him, and that is Sixto Sanchez. First of all, awesome first name. Second of all, man, he's got some electric movement, 2-seam slider, changeup, pitches that are all effective. When I see his delivery, he reminds me of a Jake Peavy type, just kind of a little bit of a slinger and gets good movement off the ball. And then they got some good pieces in the pen. Brian Kinsler, who saved it today for the Marlins. You just have to think that, hey, if they can steal a game, it's really going to be tough for the Braves. It's not going to be like, oh, we gave one, it was just our off day. No, these Marlins are legit for a reason. But on the Braves side, even though I am taking, I don't know, should I take it? No, okay, I'm gonna say yeah, why not?
Lock it in.
Marlins in 5.
Marlins in 5.
Ooh,
oh my gosh, he locked it in.
Nice.
You have to think, okay, these guys have seen each other in division. I'm not sure of their record against each other right now, but I can imagine that tensions are higher, more pressure. So it's going to be up to the key guys. And I think when you have a team like the Marlins who are playing with what's called house money, there's no pressure. No one expected them to go this far, so why can't they go farther? All the pressure now is on the Braves. They're like, okay, you beat this team. You beat the Reds, who were, I think, second in the Central. You should be able to beat this team who really shouldn't be there. They're just playing up. They're punching above their weight class. Just like put them in their place where they were. I feel like pressure is going to be on. Freddie Freeman, you have to think is going to have a productive season or productive series, but you also have to take into account, okay, what's Marcelo Ozuna going to do? What's Adam Duvall going to do? What's Ronald Acuna Jr. going to do? What's Ozzy Albies going to do? I know it sounds like a long list of household names when it comes to baseball players, but at the same time, these guys didn't get it done against the Reds. So what makes you so sure that they can just flip it on now, even though they're one more series deep into the playoffs? So I like Marlins in 5. I'm really rooting for them. I like what they're doing, and I'm sure the more they play, the more recognition just their whole team, not just the young guys, but their whole team's going to get. And I feel like it's just going to be such a big boost for not only the team, the club, the 25 players on the roster, but I think for the organization that's just kind of been scarred by the quote unquote fire sale of a bunch of guys. I think around 2015. But yeah, that's my pick. Marlins in 5.
Well, I love to piggyback off of your guys' picks, and I'm going to do it again. I'm also taking the Marlins in 5. And to answer your question from before, their record against the Braves this season, Braves took 6 games, Marlins took 4 games. So pretty even, actually.
But there was that 29-9 loss that they had.
That's true.
Yeah.
The
That
Marlins
is absolutely
lost.
true. And that's always a possibility with the Marlins, and especially a young group of guys like this. But I think Nick pretty much perfectly summed it up. I don't even know what I could add. The Marlins are just such a fun team to root for after stomping the Cubs, which was so much fun to watch. I mean, I got all the faith in the world in these guys. Their inexperience means nothing to them. I think they're totally fueled by the fact that they haven't been to the playoffs in so long. Atlanta historically has been a really good team, of course, but I kind of said it last time when we were talking about the I think the Houston Astros series. I don't think the Reds really got them super prepared for what the Marlins are about to throw at them. The Reds, did the Reds even score a run in the entirety of?
Nope.
Oh, the Braves.
Yeah,
the Braves
that's what
and
I'm
the
saying.
Reds. Yeah.
Yeah, so you could either chalk that up to the Braves having a great pitching staff and just totally shutting down the Reds, or the Reds maybe just coming up a little bit short when it really mattered most. So I'm personally rolling with the Marlins as well. I mean, like Nick said, how can you not root for these guys? It's just great. And I'm still holding on to hope because, as much as I don't want to see them come up against the Dodgers when they have all that momentum, I'm still of the mind that the Marlins have never lost when they've made it to the playoffs before. So I still don't see it happening yet. So I'm taking them.
It's prophecy for the Marlins.
Exactly.
That's
all I have left to go on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nick, you said a lot. So, a lot that covered a good majority of it. So, I don't have much to say on it, but other than, after seeing the Marlins win it against my pick, now it's kind of I'm not even mad about it, but since they did just knock out my complete NL pick like that, I have to have some type of gripe with them. But honestly, other than the Marlins on the other side, all I got to say is about that other series, the Braves series. I was telling you guys about it. Man, I hate modern baseball. That was just so hard to watch. Just listening to A-Rod talk about how nobody is trying to advance runners in a 0-0 game with bunting. I understand a lot of those guys on the Braves side, like Matt was saying, yeah, they're hitters, they can hit, but at the same time, it's the little things about baseball, missing those sacrifice bunts just to move guys over in a scoring position and set up potential game-winning hits just like that. It simplifies the game a lot more, but yeah, it's especially in 0-0 games that go that long, you'd kind of hope to see it earlier on. So that's all I wanted to take away from that series because that was frustrating to watch. But in terms of predictions going into this next series, I guess I'll go against the Marlins just because I have to because they took out my first pick. So I have no other choice. Because I did call the Braves in the other series too. So I'll continue the ride with them. I'll say Braves I'll give them 5. Say Braves in 5.
All right. I'm going to go Marlins in 4.
Wow.
I think the Braves are going to get punched in the mouth by this 1-2 punch of Sandy Alcantara and Sixto Sanchez. These dudes are something else. The Sixto pitched game 2 and he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, struck out 6, and he walked 2. He did not allow a run, and Sandy Alcantara allowed 1 run in his start. He went 5 innings, allowed 1 run on 3 hits. So, and that's and it's you might chalk it but he's not facing a real lineup. No, this is a Cubs lineup that can produce. Now, granted, they're not all having their peak seasons, but they can produce at a high clip if played up to potential. And let's be honest here, the Braves, even though the Reds did not score a run, the Braves barely got out of game 1. So I'm not sold on, for me personally, I'm not sold on the Braves moving into the National League Division Series. They're really going to have to show me something with the bats early in game 1 to show me that they are ready to beat this Miami Marlins team. But as far as I can see from the previous series, they are not ready. So that's why I say Marlins in 4. Okay. You have all been waiting, dear listeners. 2 of our hosts have been waiting very patiently all podcasts for us to get to this point. And let me just tell you, I personally think this is an outsider fans, a third-party fans prediction. I think this is basically in my head the World Series already, in my opinion, because these are the 2 best teams in the league, and this is kind of like you guys remember like a couple years ago when the Warriors played the Rockets in like the Western Conference Finals, and it was like the 2 best teams, and you're like, it doesn't even matter who comes out of the East, the Warriors are going to beat them. Whoever comes out of the West is going to beat them too. This is the finals essentially. That's kind of how I feel about this series right here, because both teams are so electric and very exciting, and I think this is it. So without further ado, we have the Yankees. Oh my God, we have the Dodgers or the Yankees of the West. The Yankees of the West.
Tell me how you really feel.
The Yankees of the West, the Dodgers, and the Padres. So I think Peyton and I should go first and let you 2, Mac and Nick, hammer it out at the end. And we're not going to, we can treat this like we're going to treat this like a real debate and topic. You have to stay quiet when the other person's talking. And so, anyway, but Peyton and I will break it down really quickly. So, Peyton, are we surprised? Are we surprised by this? No. No, we're not surprised. What did you like from either one of these teams or both of these teams from their respective series?
Honestly, didn't even have to look at the Dodgers series. Really just knew they were going to be in the next round, honestly. But in terms of the Padres series, I was just more concerned about that was my hot take, where I said Tatis would have a 3-home run game. He had a 2-home run game.
He almost did.
He had a 2-home run game. So I said the Padres were going to roll through that one. So I was wrong on that part. But, I mean, they still came out on top of the series. So, nonetheless. So, going into this matchup against each other, I'm sorry, Nick, you're going to hate me, but I'm really thinking Dodgers in 4. It's too soon for the Padres, I should say. I
don't know about that.
Too soon from the fact that they have to run into the Dodgers. That's why.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of fair.
Too soon to run into the Dodgers. So they definitely are, don't get me wrong, top 5 teams in baseball, easy, top 3. But you're going up against probably top 2 teams in baseball at the same time. So, and they've just been dominant. I mean, to keep it at that, it's going to be hard for me to not see the Dodgers advance to a National League championship series. So,
yeah. So, quick comments on both teams, and then I'll let you 2 hammer it out. The Dodgers, one thing you got to look at that you're really excited about, Clayton Kershaw pitched exceptionally well in game 2. Went 8 innings, he struck out 13 guys, and he did not allow a run. That has got to be something huge for Dodger fans. You just hope he keeps it up. That is the one fear that you have moving forward as a Dodger fan. Other than that, there's really not much to fear. The Padres, on the flip side, the Padre bats are alive. And that was evident. And my prediction actually came true. I said that they would get punched in the mouth in one of these games. I just didn't think it was going to be game 1. But they got punched in the mouth. And Chris Paddock gave up a bunch of runs in the first inning. And that happened in game 2, but their bats came alive. I said the bats would go quiet, and they kind of did early on for most of the first half of the game. Padre bats are alive. That's something to be really excited about if you're a Padre fan. What's concerning moving forward for the Padres is how are you going to address the starting pitching dilemma as you move forward, because you had to use 9 pitchers today, which is, that's a lot of guys. That's a lot of arms, and you can't really do that in a 5-game series. Throw 9 guys in 5 straight games or however many games. You've got to figure out the arms. The arms have to figure it out. Make it at least to the 4th inning before you start giving up runs, because like I said at last podcast, the Dodgers made baseball games a 4-inning game. My prediction, I cannot say with certainty who will win, because I like both. I like the talent level on both teams. Not to say I like both teams, but I like the talent level. I want to make that very clear. I like the talent level on both teams. So, but I will say that it will be a 4-game series either way. And that's my take. Okay. All right, boys. Peyton and I are just going to mute our mics and let you guys hammer it out. So honestly, yeah. Have at it.
Nick, you want to go first?
No, I'll let you go first. You're the quote-unquote favorite, so
the favorites,
you'll get your first shot.
Yeah, we're the favorites, and you're right. We definitely should be the favorites. Again, Matt did a great job of pretty much summing this one up. Clayton Kershaw, I just want to say, all the postseason failures that he's had, all the times that I've looked at the screen and seen this man give up a home run to a Houston Astros player or whoever it may be, almost all of it was eradicated off of just this single game, off of 8 innings of scoreless work, because my goodness was that beautiful to watch. Secondly, another thing I want to say is a big congratulations to the San Diego Padres for making it this far. I obviously don't think you're going to be making it past this round, but good on you for getting past a St. Louis team with a bunch of really good vets on there. They made it a series for you. They made it tough. It would have been tough for the Dodgers, but it was tough for you guys, so I understand that it was a big accomplishment to get to this point of the playoffs, and I absolutely respect that. Tatis, of course, is always going to be a problem, as well as Manny Machado, as well as Cronenworth. San Diego has bats, and their bats are real, but like Matt said, their pitching leaves something to be desired, absolutely. And this is one of the first times in postseason history that I can remember for the Dodgers where I don't feel like sick to my stomach when I start thinking about anything other than like their 3 best starting pitchers. And I mean, even if you look at the 3 best starting pitchers, Walker Buehler looked great. Clayton Kershaw, like we said, looked amazing. And Julio Urias is a dude to look out for. I know he doesn't get a lot of name recognition outside of Dodgers fans, but he has been quietly putting together a really nice body of work this season, and I think he's going to be a big key in the Dodgers winning this series. With all that being said, Dodgers in 4.
Okay. First, we're recording this, Friday, October 2nd. It's like 11 o'clock right now. I'm still freaking over the moon. Like, I guess I've cooled down to an extent, but just to sum it up for the Padres fans that have been with this team through the lean years, whether you consider it early 2010s, mid to late 2010s, which I consider the really, really lean years. Man, does it feel good. I don't want to even address the Dodgers yet. I just want to shout out to the whole team, just to what it means for a fan, bringing back meaningful, and not just a wild card game, meaningful playoff baseball. This means a 5-game series, 7-game series, whatever you have it. Just at least this is not 1 game, 3 games. It's a long series. It's really going to show you who's the better team. Obviously, as we get into the series, you're thinking, okay, from the Padres' perspective, yes, arms, pitching. How are we going to get length out of our guys? And that's going to be tough, especially even though you have young guys who pitched well, especially in this series, like Luis Patino, Adrian Morejon. Are those guys really going to get it done against the Dodgers? It's tough to say. I personally think Patino is a little bit rushed. Morejon, I think, is the more polished of the two. And I think you can definitely throw him, depending on how Dave Roberts throws out his lineup in terms of just stacking lefties, stacking righties, or mixing and matching throughout the lineup, making it tough to kind of breeze through an inning for someone like a lefty like Morejon. But on the injury side, you're thinking, okay, Mike Clevenger, a 99% chance he's not pitching for the rest of the season. I've kind of put that out of my mind as a Padres fan. I'm thinking Dinelson Lamet, Maybe game one, that may be a little bit too quick. They did play catch today. Sounds like they're decently on track to probably get him to play during this series. So you're thinking maybe if you're considering the Padres going 5, which in ultimate is going to be my prediction, Dinelson Lamet's probably going to go game 2. So what you're thinking here is either A, you get Zach Davies game 1, because to be perfectly honest, Chris Paddock is nothing but an egg layer against the Dodgers. But at the same time, you're thinking, okay, we need one game, because you have to take into account injuries, the amount of fatigue, the amount of stress going on a bunch of these arms that Jace Tingler is masterfully pulling the strings on as the manager of the Padres this year. You're thinking, okay, we just need to get some length. We need to get a game just in case our arms get tired and we just need to just let one game go. We need to get a buffer here and then play an even series from then on. Hopefully Dinelson Lamet is there for 2 of those 5 games. That's all you can hope for. That's all you can hope for from a Padres fan, because this was tough. This was a real grinded out series against the Cardinals. And for those reasons is why I'm taking the Padres in 5. It's tough to go against probably the best team in baseball, the Dodgers. Why not? Because A, they're healthy. B, the best pitcher for the past decade is playing like the best pitcher for the past decade in Clayton Kershaw. And C, they have a great lineup. But at the same time, they haven't had to explode. They haven't had to have a burst of offense. The burst of offense that has been so characteristic of the San Diego Padres of the 2020 shortened season. A team that has no quit, that was 10 outs away, down 6 runs.
4 runs.
Down 4 runs. Down 4 runs to the Cardinals, 6-2. Tatis hits a home run, Machado hits a home run, and now we're back. This team has incredible will. We're not like the Marlins where you have to say, oh, we're playing with house money because no one expected us to. We do have the marquee talent. And we do have young guys who I believe, personally, are young enough, have the moxie, the grit, are coached well by a great Padres coaching staff to play meaningful baseball in October, to play the game the right way, play playoff baseball as it's meant to be played, a grinded-out game where one swing of the bat can change a lot. I think these guys, the pressure has molded them to be able to come back, and you have to think, okay, they haven't faced, 3 great pitchers or 5 great pitchers like the Dodgers back to back to back to back to back. We've in this 2-game series or 3-game series, we've faced 3 great pitchers, and we've grinded it out every single time. Obviously, we didn't get the job done game 1, but game 2 and 3, we just got it done, plain and simple. And I think this Padres team has enough energy, and I think this is getting to my key point. We're not scared. Sure, we're 4-6 against the Dodgers in this shortened season, but hey, just like the Marlins, what do we have to lose against? Obviously, we're not playing with house money, but what do we have to lose against a team that's had pressure on them for the past 6 to 8 years? They have so much more pressure. There are so much more pressure riding on them. Sure, they do have young guys who haven't been through the seasons like Clayton Kershaw, or like other guys like Justin Turner who have consistently not been able to get it done, whether it's them or others in previous Dodger teams. But you're thinking, the Padres aren't scared. They're writing their own history. They're throwing out the fact that it's been 22 years since we've been to a World Series. We're playing as hard and as energetic, and especially the last 2 games in which we won, we've been playing smart baseball. We haven't been hurting ourselves like we were in Game 1 of the Wild Card series. So Padres in 5. It's going to be a fun series. 100%. It's going to be the World Series in my opinion. Obviously, you can't disrespect guys like the Rays and Yankees, who, in my opinion, are the best 2 teams in the West or in the AL, and you can't discount the Braves. But I think if the Padres, either team, once they get out of here, it should all be downhill from there. It's like this series is going to be. I don't want to put all the expectation there, because obviously when you put expectation, you're bound to be disappointed. But I'm hoping, and I'm sure Mac is hoping for too, just hoping for a classic series, one that will go down as like one of the greats, even though it's going to be a division series. You're just hoping that it's going to be one of these series that you look back on and like, dang, those are two great teams. It's tough. I wish you could like equal success, like, hey, you guys win one, we win one, but baseball's so volatile that you just got to take whatever chance you get, and the Padres are going for the big cake. So let's hope we do. Let's hope they do that. So go Padres in 5.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. That was beautiful. Both of you.
Dude, no, Nick almost convinced me with that argument. That was wonderful.
I just had to elaborate because
yeah.
You have to play for the importance of the fans. Like this, man. This is like, I don't know. Like
This is monumental. It's monumental. It's monumental.
Last night after Tatis hit his second shot, if I was seriously considering getting a Tatis jersey, like this close. If they
just
had
blowing $119 for the official jersey.
No, seriously, if they had the white pinstripe, because they only have the Machado white pinstripe, and I have a Machado one from last year that was on discount because like the uniforms are changing. I was like, if they had it for Tatis, like 1,000% I would have ordered it. Because I don't know, just seeing winning baseball in San Diego. I don't know. It's something we haven't seen, and I can't remember the last time I felt like this pumped for not just the Padres, but just a sport in general in San Diego.
Baseball,
so
yeah,
there's something about and
That's
your favorite sport and a team in your hometown doing great in your favorite sport. That's definitely something that hits you right in the feels. So
Yeah, we've been there.
Hey, we've been there. We've been there. Trust,
exactly.
We've been there.
Mac and I are trying to reach that.
Exactly.
Like, trust, we've been there. So that's why we wanted to give you guys this opportunity to hash it out. But I do want to do one more thing before we end the podcast. So Nick knows this, that I am someone for my own team and for some other teams, I quote unquote buy stock early on guys who I really think are going to do well. And you know, for me, the Giants this year, it was Mauricio Dubon, the rookie, who ended up having a very nice season. So we're going to do this just for this series because I'm really interested to know which player you really want to do well. Who are you buying stock on early on for this series? It could be blue chip. It could be like someone like for the Padres. It could be like Tatis or Machado, or it could be, you know, what you would quote unquote call penny stocks, like in the Dodgers case, like Julio Urias is like a penny stock in my opinion. And not to say like, oh, he's not good. It's just more of like he's not someone you think about who will make the giant impact, but he might be a series changer. So for you guys, who are you buying stock on for this series?
Well, you kind of stole the one that I was going to say, so I'll give you two. On the pitching side, Julio Urias for sure. Blake Trinan would be a good second pick, but I'm going to stick with Julio Urias for this one. And on the bats side, you know, there's a lot of blue chip talent on the Dodgers roster. I'm not going to lie to you. So it's kind of hard to find someone who isn't really a big name and a guy with tons of pop-off potential. But I'm going to go with the catcher Will Smith. Sneaky good with the bat in his hands. He's hit a couple of really big home runs in big situations, as well as gotten us over, you know, some humps where we've needed guys on base, and he's been the guy to get there. So those are my two guys, Julio Urias and Will Smith, the catcher.
And Nick, for the Padres, who are we buying stock on for the Padres?
Who are we buying stock on? Oof. I am going to say I got to go Adrian Morejon. It's tough. He's a reliever. You don't know when he's going to get some work in. But I personally think that of him and Patino, the young guys coming up through the farm for the Padres, that he's a really good arm. He's a lefty who's got 3 pitches that can work from time to time. Hopefully you think he can find some consistency in this Dodgers series. But he looked good game 3 and game 2 as well. Just has a really good slider that the Cardinals just couldn't seem to lay off of. His fastball sings, just zips through the zone. I really like him on the pitching end, and I hope that you have to think, to be realistic, to be perfectly honest, that he's going to be leaned on to go 2 innings, maybe 3 of the games. or 3 innings 2 of the games. You have to think that he's going to have to play a crucial gap role. Say the starter can't go long, and you just have to make it long enough to get to your key arms in the bullpen. You're just hoping that one guy can get you there, and you have to hope that Adrian Morjon can morph into that guy during this series. And then from the bat side, I am going with the longest tenured Padre, the one who didn't play up to his contract until this year, and to be perfectly honest, the one who has deserved this success just as much as any of the other Padres has, and that is my pick for NL Comeback Player of the Year in Will Myers. Man, it's been tough to see him ever since 2015, be on that team with Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, Derek Norris. I know
those are some dark days.
Those are some really dark days, especially when the expectations went way up, and then all of our hearts went way down when they couldn't get it done in pitching, or get it done thanks to the pitching. But I think he's deserved it more than anyone, and he's seen the Dodgers more often than not. And you have to think, okay, either A, that means the Dodgers have more success against him, or B, that means just Myers has a bunch of in-person film on these guys. And you have to hope that Will Myers can be the San Diego hero for this series. Obviously, you're thinking other guys. Obviously, it's easy to say Tatis Machado, hell, even Cronenworth or Hosmer, but shoot, that's the freaking infield right there. But I really like Will Myers. I want Will Myers to succeed in this series. I want him to prove that he's worth every penny that the Padres given him.
All right. Well, to quote the Giants broadcaster Mike Krukow, if someone isn't faring well against a team, that means he's due. Anyway, and it's kind of funny because you guys picked two left-handed pitchers and 2 guys named Will. So we'll see what happens.
It's a battle of the wills.
It's battle of the wills and battle of the lefties. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, thank you so much for listening again to the State of Sports podcast. Shout out to all of the fans for all the teams out there, specifically our Padre and Dodger fans. Good luck to you all emotionally throughout the series. I know it's going to be a wild one. So with that said, my name is Matt Leong.
I'm Nick Ricario.
I'm Mac Dolphy.
And I'm Peyton Smith.
And you're listening to the State of Sports podcast. We will see you on the next one.
Peace, guys.
Later.
Hey everyone, it's Nick from State of Sports. Thanks again for tuning in to another edition of the State of Sports podcast. If you don't already know, we are on all of your podcast streaming platforms. That means Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, just to name a few. If you're on Apple, make sure just to give us that 5-star rating. It really helps us expand this podcast that much further. Don't forget to check us out on social media. That means at State of Sports Pod on Instagram, at State of Sports SD on Twitter, and we have a YouTube channel, State of Sports. That's right. So for those who are on YouTube already, thanks for watching, and those who aren't, make sure to give us the like, comment, subscribe, the whole bit. Make sure to turn on those post notifications too, just to give you guys a heads up of when we post. And lastly, don't forget to send us your comments. We always want to improve as a podcast, so your feedback is always greatly appreciated. So once again, this is Nick from State Sports. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.